video is part of a series of tutorials covering all aspects of guitar, slide guitar, and lap steel, including technique, tone, and much, much more. If you like what you see, please subscribe. Good afternoon, everybody. Today's lesson is a brief introduction to the technique of slide guitar. Today we'll discuss string gauge, string height from the neck, and the actual technique of the slide on the string. So stay tuned. We're going to have a good time here this afternoon. Now, when it comes to slide guitar, it's my opinion that the heavier that the string that you can use will be, the better. Not only for fretting with the slide, also for tone. I believe that the heavier the string, the better the tone in many cases. Also, though, remember that it comes down to what your guitar neck and what your hand can actually handle with a heavier string. Personally, I use an 11 gauge set of strings. The high string would be 0.11 and the low string 0.49 with the respective gauges in between. For me, that's a pretty even match for playing lead guitar and playing slide guitar. With that gauge, I have the tone that I seek to achieve. I can fret with my hand, and I can also play the slide. So I like that string gauge. If you can go heavier, that's good too. I find with the lighter strings, it makes it difficult to not fret out, which we will discuss here shortly. Now, also, string height is important for slide, and that's another thing that you have to sort of decide. If you're only playing slide, that's all you want to play, the higher the string height from the board, the better. However, if you want to play lead guitar and slide guitar at the same time, when I say at the same time, if you want to go back and forth between it, as I do when I play in a band, you have to find that happy ground where the string height can be as high as you can get it, while at the same time being able to fret with your hands without the slide, and also intonation situations. Because, of course, the higher the string off the board, like if you have a really high string off the board, if you tend to press down hard on that string, it might affect your intonation when you're playing rhythm guitar and lead guitar. So string height is important. It really comes down to taste and technique for you. There's no written rule on it, other than if you're going to play slide, it makes it much easier if the string height is a little bit higher. Today's lesson is in open D tuning. Open D is my favorite tuning. We'll just quickly go over the string notes and names, and then we'll go from there. So from the low string to the high string will be D. Fifth string is A. Fourth string is D. Third string is F sharp. Second string is A. And the top and high string is D. Okay, for slide, there's a sometimes common misconception that you want the slide to press down hard against the fretboard. And that's the farthest thing that you want to happen from the truth. For instance, if I play my slide hard down on the board like this, you get that sound. And that's known as fretting out with a slide. And so you don't want to fret out. What you want to do is just make slight contact with the slide to the string. For instance, like this. It's very subtle. I can take it down a couple of strings, a little harder. it's just touching the string as opposed to fretting out, which would sound like this. So I'm pressing that slide fairly hard, harder than you'd want to, for sure. So again, it's just subtle contact to the string. These are very, very subtle. Also, what's important with slide guitar, if you're a regular guitar player, you would know now that you would want to, if you're seeking a note, you would play between the frets. For instance, if I wanted to get at the 5th fret on my G string, it would sound like this. And you'll see that my finger's in between the 2 frets. Now, to achieve the same note with slide, I would want to be over top of the 5th fret, like this. So you'll see that it's just over top of the 5th fret. If I was to put the slide in the same place that I would finger for that note, it would sound like this. You see, that's a little bit flat. Now, there's nothing wrong with being flat if that's what you're seeking to do. I mean, you can create tension this way, for instance. But for this, most cases, the note that you're seeking with proper intonation will be over top of the fret itself, like this. And one other thing that we'll discuss a little bit further in the next lesson is the actual behind the bar slide muting. You'll hear that there's a little unwanted noise there. I tend to have my finger just behind the slide with the meat of the bottom. It sounds like a muted string. All right, so just behind it. And we'll get into greater detail that in the next lesson. We're going to practice a very, very simple little lick to help with the string and slide contact technique. And this is very simple, very rudimentary, but it's a good lesson to practice a little bit. And we'll also do this with the jam track further on in here. But the lick is going to be this. It's going to start on your high string on the 4th fret, and this will be the lick. Okay. Very, very simple, but just a subtle touch to the string. We're going to embellish this a little bit for the sake of this lesson. So it's going to be... Okay, so 4th fret, 1st string down to the 2nd fret, 1st string, up to the 5th fret, 2nd string. Okay, the second part of the lick is going to be this. So we're going to start at the 6th fret on the 3rd string. We're going to slide down to the 5th fret and then down to the 3rd fret, like this. Okay. And then the last part of the lick is going to start on the 4th string, 3rd fret. Okay, so it's going to go from the 4th string, 3rd fret, down to the 4th string, 2nd fret. And then it's going to end on the 5th string, 5th fret. So one more time. Okay, so the entire lick will sound like this. One more time. Oh, and you hear that little fret out right there. That's the technique I'm talking about again. I pressed just a little bit too hard. I'm going to do this again. Okay, we'll be right back with the jam track. Okay, the jam track today will be the lick that we just learned previous to this. So settle in, have some fun with us. Now you'll notice just on the last two riffs I did, I intentionally fretted out just a touch, just to give you an idea of that sound. But practice this and have fun with it, and we'll carry on with the lessons down the road with further technique. Well, I hope I've helped you in this lesson today on slide guitar, and if you've enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe. Patreon.com/Dan Walsh. And we'll see you soon, and stay tuned.